Hello, everyone. This is Ed Breniger, and welcome to the Eddie Network podcast. And this is episode 4 of the Listening to Younger Generations film series, video series. And today I want to talk about a topic that younger generations have mentioned to me. So I'm responding to them. And what I have discovered from them is that what is very important to them is for people to be authentic. So authenticity is a major issue for them, and I understand that because so much of the world we live in is not authentic at all. It's kind of fake. It's what I call a simulation. It's a simulated reality, and because it's simulated, it's not real, and even being not real, it may not be true. And so many of the simulations that we are presented with every day through the media and through social media and other ways of receiving information uh, tells us that we're being lied to. And so young people are very interested in people who are authentic. And the question is, what does that mean? What does it mean to be an authentic person? And I know in my generation, we never thought about that. And I think it's because we were all kind of the same, and so we knew one another, and so we just kind of assumed that authenticity. But I think it's also that we tended to treat authenticity as a reflection of position, institutional position. So if someone was the CEO or the owner of a business, or say the principal of a school or the minister of a church, they automatically were given a sense of authenticity. And, that's the way the world used to be. It was the world that Edward Shills wrote about in the early 1960s, where he talked about that there is a center to society, and the periphery of society looks to that center for guidance and for leadership and for strength and support, and that the whole, the center and the periphery, fit together as something solid and real. But I think what we've seen over the last 60 years, 70 years is an erosion of that relationship between the center and the periphery, an erosion of the center's care for the periphery, the center's relationship to the periphery as something where we're supporting the people out. I mean, it'd be like, okay, we're going to say the city, the county seat in a city is really going to take care of the people who live out at the periphery of the county, live on farms. But we know that that doesn't happen any longer. There's not this connection between the leadership of a community, the leadership of a city, the leadership of a nation or the globe, and the people who exist at the periphery of it, the people who are poor, the people who are, say, live in rural areas, people who are have marginal jobs. They may work, but they're not more their income is marginal. It doesn't supply everything they need, and so we have an economic environment where the people who should be the leaders of our community are not, because they have essentially abandoned the community to its own decline. Young people, young generations see this. They may not articulate it as I just articulated, but they see it nonetheless. And what they see there is a lack of authenticity. But so what do they see when someone is authentic? What is it that they're seeing? Well, I think they're seeing people that they believe are telling the truth, that are not trying to lie to us, that they are people who are not simply ingratiating themselves with the public so that they gain influence. They're not people who are taking advantage of the structures of the business or the community for their own personal gain. It reminds me of a talk I gave in Nairobi, Kenya, in early 2020, and it was a group of business leaders, and I gave my presentation. I talked about the Circle of Impact leadership model, and the first question that was asked of me was, "What do we do about corruption in government?" And I didn't know what to do. I had not looked at that. I hadn't thought about that because the corruption that exists in America is pretty well hidden from most people. But there, it seemed that it was pretty much out in the open. And so we talked about that for a few minutes. And what I realized was that when the people believe that their leaders are receiving money from special interests, that they see that as a lack of authenticity. It's a kind of a lie that they say that they're representing the whole of the community when they're really are not. They're representing their own financial interests. That's what corruption is, and that's what it means to be an inauthentic person because you can't trust them. So what the young generation wants is to be able to trust the people that they know. And the question is, and this is not an idle or abstract question. The question is, are you a trustworthy person? Now, you may think you are trustworthy because in your circle of relationships, they all know who you are and you know who they are, and we all get along and we go along together. But that doesn't mean that someone a generation or two younger than you feels the same way. Because they may look at you and they say, why is this person saying things which seem to be self-gratifying? Why is this person not aware of the things that we are aware of as younger people? And there again, it goes back to what I've said before in this series, how important our communication between the generations really is. So if you want to be an authentic person, if you want people to say that you have authenticity, then you need to be truthful in what you say, and you need to be truthful to your word in what you do. And it comes to what I was saying in an earlier video, where you have to be really clear about what your values are. Because if you're not clear what your values are, then you will have what you'll take on whatever values are expedient for the minute, for the moment. And what I'm telling you is that younger generations see that. They see expediency as a negative, where many people say in my generation would see expediency, well, they know how to circumvent a lot of the obstacles to achieving our goals. Well, that may not be an idea that can be sustained in the context of the younger generation. And if that's the way you think, I would bet that you're not well thought of by the younger generation. Expediency is not a very healthy pathway to earning intergenerational respect and trust. Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about, are you a trustworthy person? Does a person who's 18 or 20 or 25 years of age trust you? And if you don't know that, then probably it means that they don't trust you, because it means that you don't have any sense that you have a relationship with young people where there is a kind of mutuality. And by mutuality, it means that you both value the other's respect. If you don't value the respect of young people, they won't respect you. And maybe you have lived in a world where you have assumed that everyone respects you because of your position or because of your power or because of your wealth. I can tell you that that is not the way younger generations look at the world. They're wanting you to be a true person. They want you to speak truthfully to them. They don't want you to lie. They don't want you to deflect. They don't want you to create some kind of simulation, a story, a lie, a story of lies, which you must support with more lies. They don't want that. They want to know what is actually true. And truth is not just a beautiful thing, it's a harsh thing. I've been writing and talking about reality over the last year. And one of the things that I've come to realize is that our sense of reality is, is a type of perception. I'm not saying that reality is a perception, but our perception of reality has an effect upon how we live in reality. So if we perceive reality as being something that we can manipulate, then we create the simulation. We create a simulation or a story of lies. And you might not think it's a lie. It might think, well, this is my story. I mean, we get told that we should have our story, and the story has to have a sense of resonance and it has a sense of power. But if the story is at its very core is not true for you or not true for your listener, then you've created a simulated reality, and you will have to continue to lie in order to support that reality, or you have to admit I was wrong, or I've been lying, or I'm not being truthful, or I feel like I need to make a change in the way I'm handling myself. If you go through that process and you do it in a manner that's not intended to draw attention to you in the sense that you're looking for approval for your honesty or accolades for your authenticity. If you're seeking to be authentic because it is necessary to be a real and truthful person, then younger generations will see that. But I think it's a very big issue because the structure of our society, structure of global society, is oriented around telling people what we feel like they want to hear. I have people contacting me daily that tell me that they can take my podcast and make it more successful. And they don't know anything, but they're telling me something which they don't know to be true. And I know what they're telling me is not true. But they're telling me this is because this is how they sell their services. They want me to believe that they have an authentic solution to the problem of my sales. The question is, what is the proof that they've done this before? And what is the proof that they actually understand my approach to sales? It's like, for example, when I wrote my book, The Circle of Impact, the question that was constantly asked of me is, who is this book for? And I was asked that I make the book, write the book for, say, a CEO or a CIO or a CFO or an HR person, but I was to identify a role within an organizational structure who would become the object of the book. And when I said, well, that's not the book that I'm writing, I said, my book is for people who are in transition. They told me, well, that's too broad. It's not, I said, no, it isn't. It's not too broad because it is a marketplace where everyone is in transition, and all they need to recognize is that they are, and the book will become valuable to them. So the communication of we're all in transition, all of us, all the time, is the key to the marketing of the book. Well, that didn't happen because the world of marketing couldn't embrace that broad spectrum of thought because it is always looking to sell to a particular type. But my book was authentic for a wide spectrum of people, and it's shown to be that over the last, how many years is that now? 8 years, almost 8 years. What I'm saying to you is that we fool ourselves when we try to equivocate on truth. And young people see that. If you're equivocating on what you believe to be true so that you can ingratiate yourself to someone who may be buying something from you, or you're trying to pitch some service to a group, and you're equivocating on your own values in order to get this position, young people would see that as inauthentic. And I think people within the company would see it as inauthentic. And they would say, why are we hiring this person who does not represent what he says he is representing? And young generations see that because they've been sold on stuff so often, more so than any generation in human history, that they smell inauthentic behavior pretty quickly. So my advice to you is to first decide that it's more important for you to be an authentic person than it is for you to be a successful person. Because at the end of the day, if you're authentic, then your success will end up finding you. But if you're inauthentic and your success, you're going to have a hard time sustaining that success because people will begin to see that inauthentic self emerging and how you treat them and how you talk about who you are and what you offer to them. So if you want relationships with younger generational people, whether they're in their 30s, their 20s, or their teens, figure out what does it mean for you to be an authentic person. And if that is a difficult thing for you to do, then my suggestion is that you decide what are the 3 values that are the most important to you, that you're willing to die to support and protect and preserve those values, that you're willing to suffer, and you're willing to suffer loss in your business in order to support those particular values. That when you come to that point where you know that these values are more important than your own success, then you know that you're on the path to be an authentic person. And people will see it, and young people will see it as well. It's not easy. It's easier to be a liar, but every lie has to have another lie to support it. And ultimately, the anxiety and the emotional cancer that comes with being an inauthentic person who is untruthful about life catches up with you. And it will. I'm convinced of it. It's much simpler to be truthful and authentic than it is in any other way. We have one more of these episodes that's coming, and I'm going to talk about media and the effect of media on young generations in our next and last episode of the Listening to Young Adults, Young Generations video series. I thank you for watching the Eddie Network podcast. Please hit the like button, and if you can financially support the program, I appreciate that as well. And we'll see you next time here. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.